Hey, what's up guys? Thanks for stopping by the channel. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing probably the most dressy and affordable Citizen EcoDrive watch I can find for this year, and that's this guy in front of me. This is the Citizen BU4010-05L. So it's got a long, I guess, reference number, but it just looks gorgeous. And talking about pricing, you can pick these up. I found them on Amazon for around the $200 Canadian range. But if you do your homework, you can find these on eBay closer to the 100 US dollar mark. So for that price, you're just getting a really nice, dressy, everyday watch. And I'm going to go into detail about the specs of this watch, and I'll talk about the positive and negative elements about this piece. But let's start off with the dimensions really quickly. So you're getting a 43 millimeter watch across the case, which is definitely a more modern take for a dressier type watch. But for those of you with smaller wrists, don't dismay. If I flip to the side, you can see because of the cushion style nature of this case and how these lugs turn down. The distance from tip to tip here is only 47.5 millimeters. So I think even if you have smaller wrists, you can wear this very well. Now the case thickness, it's a pretty thin profile at 12 millimeters in thickness. And then if you flip to the side here and you look at the lug opening for this beautiful alligator style leather strap, it's 22 millimeters. So let's get into what I consider the really positive features about this watch. And I just really am drawn to the design and the finishing for this watch at this price point. Now, if we move in on the dial a little bit, I think this blue sunburst dial really stands out. And in different lighting conditions, especially in natural light and the angle, it can appear very dark, almost like sapphire, or you can get a really nice radial sunburst blue, like a light sky blue pattern, which I find very, very pleasing to the eye. I also really appreciate the design of this watch. You can see the bi-compax nature of these subdials that represents the day and date. So you can see on the left-hand side here, you have every day of the week, and it's currently pointing to Tuesday. And then here on the right-hand side, you have a 31-day register, which represents which day of the month it is. Now, on top of just the design of these subdials, the finishing is really astonishing for the price. You have really nice polished edges around the edge of those subdials, and then you have a really nice radial pattern that goes all the way to the center of each of those subdials, and very clearly printed text for that day or the date. And then if you look a little more outboard of those subdials, you can see that the indices for this watch are all applied. They're multifaceted and they look gorgeous. I think they catch the light really well. I almost thought that the white stripe in the center of the applied indices might have luminescent material, but regardlessly they don't. The only lume you're going to get on this watch is on the hour and the minute hand, and I'll throw up a low light shot so you can see what that looks like. I do appreciate that cool blue hue that the lume gives off, but it's not going to be a lume monster. Again, this is more of a dressier style piece, so I don't even consider that much of a negative aspect. Now the movement inside here is one of the EcoDrive quartz modules, so it is powered and recharged by light. So you're not going to have to worry about changing the battery on this guy, and this can, run reliably for about 20 years if you take care of it, which is a really nice feature and kind of a hassle-free grab-and-go type of watch. Now the accuracy of this watch is, plus or minus 15 seconds per month, about half a second per day, which is par for the course for a lot of, affordable quartz movements. And then let's move away from the dial and let's look at the overall finishing, because I'm really, really impressed. Aside from the nice applied indices and the handset, if you look outside to the bezel, it's nicely polished. And then the attention to detail on the case itself is pretty strong. You can see that there's a nice polished bevel that runs from one end of a lug to the other. But if you look here at the side of the flanks of the lugs, you have nice vertical brushing that takes place. And then the crown is unsigned, but it's polished at the end. It's knurled fairly well. And it's not a screw-down crown, but this watch is suitable to depths of 100 meters with respect to water resistance, which I think for an everyday watch is perfectly acceptable. If you do pull out the crown to the first position, you can quickly adjust the day and date function. I'm not going to do that because this is currently correct, but if you pull it all the way out, you can see I can also hack the movement. So I'm going to just quickly, move the hands out of the way here and then push it back into place. And then I'll say another nice feature, moving away from the case, is this beautiful alligator style type of leather strap. This is a more affordable watch, and I didn't think I was going to enjoy the strap this much, but it's breaking in fairly well. And you can see the underside here, it's fairly supple. And the stitching, the contrast white stitching, I think really helps make this strap stand out. Okay, so are there any negative aspects to this watch? Well, I mean, again, it's going to be a very small list given how affordable and how dressy this watch is, but I think the mineral crystal, I don't think there's any type of anti-reflective application, and you can kind of see how much it reflects from my studio lights here. I think it's slightly domed as well, but at extreme angles, it's a little hard to see as well. But I mean, again, at this price, I wouldn't necessarily expect to have an anti-reflective treatment applied to this mineral crystal. I still think the overall aesthetics of this watch are really well suited for watching this price category. And I'd say the only other negative aspect to this piece really is the lack of lume. I mean, I am aware that this is a dressier style watch, so it's not necessarily expected, but if you had all of the indices light up and not just the hour and minute hand, and maybe even some of the sub-dial hands light up, I think that would just be spectacular overall. It would just make this watch even more functional than it already is. But aside from that, guys, I just think this is a phenomenal timepiece for the money. Let me throw it on the wrist so you guys can see how it wears. And here's a wrist shot for you guys. So as you can see, on my just over 7¼ inch wrist, this watch sits very nicely. With the cushion style nature of this case, I think it conforms to my wrist very well. It's very comfortable and low profile as well. So if you were dressing this up, this could easily slide under the cuff of a dress shirt or a sports coat. And you would, it's versatile enough to also dress down as well if you choose to do so. Okay guys, so that about wraps up this video review. I would love to hear your feedback on what you guys think about this particular Citizen model. And if you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing and giving a thumbs up. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next video.